Excellent. Well, as we were just chatting about a little bit, we have some science gateways with a variety of different ways that they are providing resources, applications, and audiences all in one place through a web browser. And we talked very briefly and started going into how gateways are being used into the classroom with that 617 known gateways through the catalog, and then 44 of those have been identified as used in the classroom. But diving into the actual usage, I do have a couple of gateways I wanted to point out and start talking through how they are serving classrooms. So we have Smalter, which is out of the University of Michigan, and they deal with structured-based machine learning tools for RNA. And this is actually out of the Apache Arvada team and is supporting this for that RNA research into the university classrooms. We do also have eBird, and this is a little bit of a non-traditional classroom usage. So this is out of Cornell from the ornithology lab, and what they offer is an application and also their gateway platform to discover where birds are being sighted, and typically this is being used by hobbyists, but also elementary schools have been using eBird along with other schools to introduce the curriculum and actually allow students to explore where birds are migrating and where they're being spotted. We also have Cubes, which has been one of the gateways we've been able to work with. And what they focus on is biology and mathematics and teaching undergraduate classes. They actually have a couple of different applications like Jupyter Notebooks and MATLAB in their system, so they can allow their students to use Cubes, create an account on the gateway itself, and use the site to access MATLAB and not have to have an individual license for each student and or each computer within a lab that might be booked. And this is even more important as we're living in our current circumstances of everything being virtual. And then Simiode, who we got to hear a little bit more about from Lee. And the, I think, uniqueness too about Simiode is they're one of our use cases where they're providing complete curriculum packages for teachers in differential equations, and they are also focusing not only on teachers that have it as a part of their curriculum right now, but exploratory instructors that are thinking about using different exercises. Some of these teachers are in, I would say, the younger part or elementary stage. I know that the M&M example of differential equation is something that's quite popular. My mom is a third grade teacher and she's even used it in her classroom. And then we have, of course, university instructors that are teaching this for applied sciences. So that's my very quick intro into the dynamics of educational gateways. And I thought that from here, we could throw a couple of questions for the group to discuss and just kind of get to know where the gaps are and have a conversation. So I will shrink down my screen a little bit so that way we can keep these up here, but maybe just allow them to be not taking up my entire space. Maybe would it be helpful if we just go ahead and move the questions into the Google Docs so there we can take notes from there? Would that be a good option for everyone?
Sure.
All right.
Sure, works for me.
Okay, because the last time I know we started taking notes a little too late and got a slap on the wrist from Catherine. Very nice one. I'm teasing. So
One of the
Yeah.
takeaways that I heard from this, some of the participants was that they wanted to know more about the software collaborative, and if you could show, that site and how to search around in that site. Um, that was one of the takeaways I know that they wanted.
Was that from the Wednesday Learning Lab or plenary, the one with Joe Stubbs and Suresh?
No, it wasn't. It was just in conversation with some of the members of ADME.
Oh. I'm still not sure. Are you mean the catalog, or you mean the?
Yeah, the catalog. I'm sorry, the
Okay.
catalog. What did I say?
I thought you were talking about the Tech Summit.
No, I was talking about the catalog. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would be happy to do a quick walkthrough if that would be useful.
Yeah.
All right. So I lied. I'm stealing the screen back. Well, so the catalog can be found at catalog.sciencegateways.org. And there's actually something here too in reference to our usability instructor that we got to talk to this morning, Dr. Paul Parsons. He's actually done a usability review of the catalog, and they're making improvements right now. So if it changes on you in the near future, I just wanted to give you a heads up. But where we're looking at is mainly a space to define gateways that we know, and then also have a little bit more detail before jumping into the gateway itself. So for example, when we see the option on the left-hand side to sort by a couple of different fields, gateways are the individual instances of I would say, research and what's happening, whereas the software is going to be the cyber infrastructure that can support gateways. Sometimes they can be a little bit mixed in that definition, but that's the kind of defining point between the two. And then we have SGCI affiliates identified, which means that they've collaborated with SGCI through a partnership or collaboration in order to provide support for the Science Gateways community. We also have our clients identified here as well. I think the most important filter, which if you just click on used in classroom, it'll sort down to now the 45 used in the classroom. We had a new one join before I took the screenshot earlier. But then we can find different ways to see which ones are the cyber infrastructure, which ones are the gateways. And then, for example, this one was actually a new entry from University of Colorado at Boulder. And so they deal with science weather data portals and do applications there and are used in a university undergraduate environment. So once you click on the title, you can actually see a little bit more of description, what the authors have provided us, and then you can get exciting things like what language was the portal built in, what frameworks it's using, the documentation it supports, institutions where it's used, and then in addition, any citations or contact information if you would like to follow up with more details. Is that helpful as an overview?
So if you were to sort for, I know we have a number of people interested in computer science, teaching computer science classes. The one that you just taught to today is, let's see what the results would look like.
Yeah, I think one way to do that is defining the discipline. And I think I have a little bit of a shrunken view, so this might help free it up. Let me just expand. So we could likely sort. I'm trying to think of which one might direct us to computational science.
Mm.
Because I know that the terminology they've been using is what is usually in the pedagogy of the university. They have computational linguistics under interdisciplinary.
About web science,
Web sciences.
maybe.
That's what I was thinking too.
So we had 7 pull up. I don't know if it filtered it completely. Maybe if we get rid of that one. There we go. So I had a couple of different filters still on there.
Fortran.
What that?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it looks like these are the options are popping up. Zooniverse is actually a really interesting gateway as well, as they have a lot of a multitude of different disciplines all being collected in this one space. Zooniverse actually started as a citizen science project looking at galaxies and using citizens to help spot galaxies out of all of the thousands of images that they had. And now it's used for different disciplines. Yeah, so it looks like there are some ways to explore, but again, I think this is meant more so too as a jumping off point, trying to get you a couple of different options and then allow you to explore further. Is it a good solution for your classroom after you've had a conversation either with the team supporting it or looking through the documentation materials that have been published online?
Yeah, I would add, don't feel bashful about reaching out to us if you find one, but you're like a little bit of a help making the introduction or get our opinion about a particular gateway, like how much we know about it. Is this a good fit? We're happy to we're happy to help mediate any of these things that might not be jumping out at you from the catalog itself.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess also if for computer science education, I don't know if we want to jump here yet, Linda, but or Claire, but it might also be better to think about it on the other side of what it takes, not of using a gateway within a classroom for computer science instruction, which I don't know if a gateway like that exists. Personally, I don't know, but on the other hand, looking at, what are some of the technologies to build gateways and similar things, and can we develop some, or do we have some curriculum material that that we could help with or help provide to do more from the point of view of here's how you can build a gateway.
Yeah, I think it would be interesting. I don't know, Marlon, since you've had experience in the area, do you want to share more about teaching about building gateways?
Sure. I mean, obviously, Linda organizes lots of activities in that area that she can tell everyone all about. Um, so the two things that we do, one specifically within SGCI. So Linda organizes a summer, among other things, Summer Coding Institute, which I think last summer we had on the order of 15, 16 participants. So, this time, of course, all over Zoom. And yeah, so those cover a lot of topics over I think a month, if I remember correctly. But the kind of the capstone project for the Summer Coding Institute is we get the students organized into teams, and we have them use some of the knowledge that they've gained over the first couple of weeks to build gateways. So we're going to teach things like web technologies, and there's some. I mean, Linda should really be telling you all about this, but there's some introduction to Python programming and other introductory course materials that we pull from University of Texas, who's a SGCI member. They have a whole bunch of learning modules on that side, and prepared materials and things. So a whole bunch of that, and then we try and put it into practice in the second half of the institute. And so we look at that as also a launching pad for students who want to, do internships and do other sorts of things during the year.
That's a good summary of what we try to do for. And Sarah just had a repairman walk in the house, right? Oh God, this might not be good. But some of the students were from the institutions that are represented here today. And we, in addition to the description that he gave about the Coding Institute, we also have training sessions at ADME. So Marlon a couple of times has come to the conference and talked with the faculty members about SGCI and his role in SGCI, his component with, and there was a lot of interest there in that as well. So we were able to reach quite a number of faculty members that way.
I hope everything's okay there in your house, Linda. Yeah. So yeah, I think
never okay.
Okay. Yeah, I think the other thing. So yeah, I'll put in a plug for our UT partners on this, that they have a ton of material that for teaching some interesting topics that get used into gateways that I guess we could dig around and find here, if that's of interest. So the other thing that I do, which is a little bit outside of SGCI, and it's a little bit targeted at master's degree students here, is we cover we have a class that we teach in person at IU. I guess we'll be trying to do it over Zoom and figuring out how to do it remotely, which is something we haven't previously done, but it covers a lot of, we call it applied distributed systems. And so it's a application of a lot of the underlying gateway technologies that we found were not being taught at IU by anyone, or they were being taught, through a fire hose of, kind of a seminar approach where every lecture there's a new technology kind of thing. So we pared it down to what we feel like were for gateways, at least some of the core cloud computing technologies, and related ideas. So we have this sort of potential for making this, and I can drop a link in the Google Doc in a minute, but we have a potential for sharing some of the content that we have, and potentially even doing some drop-in lectures or things like that. So these are aimed at more advanced. These are aimed at IU. They're aimed at more advanced students. We haven't decided if we could teach it to undergraduates or not.
Did you have your students do a project or find a project?
Yeah, it was actually entirely project related because I didn't want to grade test. So we had so the students actually we changed it up a little from each time we teach it, but generally we have them do 3 or 4 projects throughout a semester, and the projects build on each other.
Are you using virtual machines?
Yes, it's all that's part of the that's part of the first assignment is usually to so IU has a virtual machine resource called Jetstream, and we have the students we set up accounts for them to use that, and so they learn how to use Jetstream to create and manage virtual machines, and then everything to so that's kind of the prerequisite, or not prerequisite, it's kind of the foundational step in the class is learn how to do that, and then the stuff that everyone builds will build on that. So the idea is there's an abundance of, you shouldn't have any shortage of virtual machines, so you should consider this an abundance of resources that are available to you, and you should figure out how to build things at scale.
Okay, so if another university wanted to do this project, could they do it without Jetstream, or would they need to be able to duplicate your Jetstream environment?
So I'll say Jetstream to get access to the allocations for educational purposes is extremely simple.
Oh, okay.
So it's not I'm going to give you too much background information, but there's a large project we work closely with that's called Exceed that allocates resources for machines so basically places like IU can make their resources available to other universities. And so if you want to use it in a classroom, it'll take you 15 minutes to fill out an application form, and I'd be happy to help you figure out how much resources to request, or I'd put you in touch with Jeremy Fisher, who's the user support lead for outreach support lead for the system.
So now, do you have an overview or a description of the objectives of the project that you were describing that we could possibly, I could possibly get access to? My name is Thorna Humphreys.
So are you asking for more information about Jetstream itself, or more information about the class that we teach?
I'm asking for more information about your class and the objectives of your class.
Okay. Let me drop that into, I got too many windows here, sorry. Let me drop a link into this.
While he's doing that, I added Marlon's email address in the chat. If anyone wants to follow up with him.
Oops. Yeah, and let me give you another link. So this is a lot of, so these are some example projects. So again, these were teams of master's degree students.
Right.
So some of them got kind of ambitious, some not ambitious enough, but that's another story. Anyway, but they, so everything that they do is in a GitHub project. And so the ones that do things correctly are putting, so if you go to one of the projects and go to the project wiki,
Okay.
you'll see some of the stuff that they do. So I'll drop that into yeah, let me drop that. I'm picking the one at the top. I don't know that this wasn't necessarily the best one.
Okay.
I don't know if they were the top team from last time, but anyway, it's you can look at some of the other projects and kind of get an idea for the things they're doing.
Okay. Thank
So,
you.
yeah, sure, no problem.
Let's see.
Let me see if I can get a hold of Charlie by email and just see if he's got a pointer to the, Linda, unless you know where the tag material is off the top of your head.
Yeah, one other example I wanted to bring up too, which is a little bit of a different scope to NanoHub actually use summer interns to help teaching faculty transition their curriculum to be online. So this is a little bit of a different use of students, but there were some really interesting projects that came out of this, such as using Jupyter notebooks to talk about different types of modeling with a focus on, of course, nanotechnology and introduction to engineering. And now those notebooks are being taught to first year students at Purdue University and offered for free at NanoHub. So I think that that's also kind of a different take of how a Science Gateway is, teaching students, I'd say computer science, but also working with faculty as well.
Okay, I fired off an email also to our colleague Charlie Day at University of Texas, who also helped provide a lot of material for the Summer Coding Institute and other stuff. And so anyway, if hopefully he'll get back to me. Hopefully he knows what I'm asking for, and if he gets, it may not be within our time here, but I'll put the link in the Google Doc. But those are some other resources that you can pull upon. And also to kind of take an angle from what Claire was just saying, it might be interesting too. So there is no computer science hub, for example, learning hub. I think maybe I'm wrong, but it might be interesting for if there's interest for seeing, like what CUBE's is doing for their field. So it's not computer science. It's more like, you know, mathematical education for biology students. But it, you know, it, and I'm not talking about let's go look at it right now, but maybe Drew Lamar or the other people involved in that could, you know, maybe give a little presentation and maybe give some ideas for, let's, you know, here's how we can have a similar resource for computer science education.
Definitely. And I think there was one question too that came through from Lee. And I wonder if Linda or Marlon, if you have a comment here, is there a plan for a 2021 Coding Institute, or is everything on hold because of COVID?
Okay. Well, we passed that crisis in 2020. We took everything virtual. So we do plan on having a 2021 Coding Institute. And I did respond to everyone. I gave you a link to the page on our SGCI site where information will be available when we open those applications. That will probably be around February when we start collecting applications for the students and putting together the schedule. And so, you know, it is very possible that you could participate in the training if you would like to have something you want to share with them. For example, last summer, Paul Parsons worked with the students on usability. And then in addition to the basic, now the Coding Institute deals with our basic skills, basic technical skills, and our non-technical skill set, not necessarily advanced technical skill set. And so, for example, the first week or so is devoted to making sure that everyone, and they're coming in at the entry level, has an understanding of some languages like Python, that they understand how to use Jupyter Notebook, and that they understand about Unix shells and so forth. Then the second week is devoted to HPC skills. So they learn how to use high performance computers and to use those resources that are available. Then we look at specific gateway related skill sets with skills and platforms like Aravada that Marlon talked about. And then the last week we have them do projects. So that's how we organize the Coding Institute. If we have resources, again, because remember this is year 5 of our 5-year grant. We're just kind of waiting from NSF to give us the nod to put together the plan for our follow-on 5 years. But we do plan on having the Coding Institute early enough so that it can be done within this 5-year schedule. So the answer to the question is yes, we're going to have it. It will most likely be virtual, and it will be about February when that page is opened again for both student applications and also when we'll be putting together the schedule. And so we welcome your involvement from faculty in terms of trainers and from your students if you want them to send in applications. And remember, this is entry level. But we do get some serious stars out of that Coding Institute sometimes. Yes.
Yeah. I was thinking this might be a good thing for Simeo to promote because we probably have some overlapping interest. You know, some math people that are taking, you know, differential equations might also be interested in coding. So could be, I'm just thinking we might advertise.
Yeah, you know, Lee, there was a gentleman.
I think I'm on the mailing list for SGCI, so I guess hear about it. I think on a mailer, I believe.
Yes,
Probably.
but
Okay.
now there's a gentleman who just sent me a text message, said he wanted to come, but he's on the road driving right now, and he was representing NAM, which is the National Association of Mathematicians, and they have a summer institute as well, computational mathematics, and I'm sure the differential equations, the work that you're doing there, would be of interest to them. So I'm
Yeah,
going to send you a link to their representatives, so that maybe we
sure.
can follow up and make sure that the two of you get together and talk
Yeah,
about how you interact with NAM, because
that's
that's
a
a
good idea. I didn't
that's
know about their
a
summer
nice
program.
match. All right, I'll send
Yeah.
you that in the chat.
Oh, great. Thank you.
Yeah, that sounds like a great connection.
Mhm. Yeah, so I know, I think technically our learning labs wrap up at 4:50. So that gives us a couple more minutes. And I think we're welcome to stay on and chat a little bit longer, but I want to also be respectful of all of your time, because I know that time is super valuable right now. So is there any other questions or thoughts that you have in the realm of teaching or hosting curriculum that you feel like is kind of missing in the current environment?
Well, I like what Marlon said about, maybe there's not a hub specifically for, I think you said kind of coding or computer science coding, I guess, early skills maybe, I'm thinking. I don't know if I understood. I may be paraphrasing you wrong, Marlon. But that's interesting that you were thinking cubes. What the cubes is doing could be somehow morphed or copied. Did I follow your train of thought the right way?
Yeah, I don't know that much about cubes in detail, about all the course materials and things that they're putting together, but I think that's something that it sounds like there's a lot of potential for for people to cooperate to put together, especially in computer science moves so fast and there's so many emerging areas, and there's always a tension between computer science and from the theoretical side and from the applied side. So if you're looking for especially applied lessons to produce and share or consume and integrate in your class, that seems like an effort. I mean, so I'm not going to lead it, so somebody else has to take it and do something with it, but it does sound like an opportunity.
Okay, good. I sent that information to you, Lee, and I also put it in the notes for anybody else who's interested in
Yeah.
contacting them.
Yeah, thank you. I will contact them.
I'll tell them to expect you.
Okay, I'll say you gave me his number, his name.
Yeah,
His email.
yeah. He really wanted to be here. Okay. So I guess we only got 1 minute now. So Claire, I just want to thank you for your information. Way to go, way to go. And hopefully we can follow up with some of these contacts that we have put out here. We do have 2 people, Wyatt and Julian, and I didn't know, we want to take a minute to introduce yourself, this last little minute we've got to introduce yourself, Waylon.
Hi, I'm Wyatt. I'm a software developer, freelance software developer, interested in science and building science gateways.
Thank you. So you're working with what group?
Finishing up a project for UCLA Citizen Science Environmental DNA. Currently working on a ocean core drilling project with like PIs from like 3 different institutions.
Ah, good job. And Julian? Did you want to introduce yourself?
You may have just dropped.
Oh, okay. I scared him away. Okay.
You're bashful.
I know Julian a little bit. He works for UCAR there at which is the big atmospheric modeling group based at University of Colorado. And so too bad he left at the wrong time, but because they have a lot of educational material and stuff for, it's not computer science, but it's for atmospheric modeling and environmental modeling probably as well.
Yeah, they have a big education group there. In fact,
right. Yeah, that's right.
They've sent more than once a representative to the ADME conference. Elliot Faust is his name. Elliot Faust is escaping me. And he has an associate there called Ag, and both of them have been very much involved in our meetings. Okay, Claire, I pass it back to you to close out. Thanks, everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, thank you all very much for your time today. And I know Linda thanked me, but I have to thank her. She's done a wonderful job and is definitely a huge leader in the workforce development and getting students onto computer science. And I think that a credit to her reputation is being able to change even the minds of students to jump onto a career in computer science after engaging with the Coding Institute. So fantastic job as always, Linda, and pleasure to work with you.
And our push now is to bring more faculty into this effort.
Exactly. Yeah, so if there's anything that you felt like through the conversation today you would want to learn more, if you want to even engage further with SJCI, I'll pop our general help desk link, but we also have our emails in the notes that you're more than welcome to reach out to us directly. But we're always looking for opportunities to either build connections or even bring you into the fold of teaching at the Coding Institute or other ways. So yeah, we look forward to being able to work with you all further and hope you enjoy the rest of your afternoons.